guys, Jay here. Welcome to Miles Memories Weekly, episode 262. Miles Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where we're talking about painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week was the Adepticon 11th edition 40K reveal show. Although honestly, we got a lot more for things that aren't 11th edition. Some pretty spicy models. I would say it was almost as exciting as all the awesome hobby products available from EonsOfBattle.com. Over there, we have all kinds of hobby goodies, great head studio bits to spice up your Space Marines, Army Painter paints, brushes, base and cork, and we've got glue, ultra thin and ultra thick super glue. And we have terrain. It's the best way to support us doing what we do by getting a membership. Each month, members get a credit, good for any one terrain pack we've ever made, or the brand new one. New in March, we have created the Creeping Forest, a collection of mysterious living creatures that can populate a board perfect for any fantastical wargame. Weave your models in between the scuttling crab trees, and you'd better watch your step or you'll get bit by the timber mimics. As you wander through a forest of monstrous mushrooms dripping with colorful toxins, you might come across the land kraken, a master of camouflage and a very dangerous encounter. This wondrous terrain collection was invented by us and is available physically and as STL from EonsOfBattle.com. Tis the Adepticon season, although we did not go to Adepticon on Wednesday to see the reveal show live because we know that that's a bad idea. The room is always hot and sweaty and it's a long show. So we watched it from the comfort of our living room. And thank goodness that we did, because in person, we wouldn't have gotten to see all of the technical issues. We would have gotten to see some of them, but not all of them. Holy cow, was the stream rough. There was so many audio issues. At many points, there was no audio. Like, I don't know if things were popping up exactly when they were supposed to be popping up. It was a time. We were having a pretty good time watching it. But the reveal show itself, there was a lot of really, really cool stuff. The thing I want to start with is the thing that ended off the show, and that is 11th edition. We all placed our bets on what the 11th edition launch box was going to be. I was the wild card. I said Dark Eldar versus Black Templars, going back to the old 3rd edition launch box, which would have been really cool. That's not what it was. Sean said Blood Angels versus Orcs, and Nick said Steel Legion versus the Orcs. And so Sean was correct. But the video, like the little animation that showed off all of the contents of the box, looks really cool. Looks like there's going to be a classic Land Speeder, some classic Space Marines, Jump Pack Intercessors, a Jump Pack Chaplain, which looked particularly spicy. For the Orcs, there is the Orc Psyker, the Wah Boss. No, that's the Beast Snag Boys version. Weird Boy! There's gonna be a Weird Boy. He was vomiting psychic energy all over the Space Marines. And then when he died, it was just a giant explosion that wiped out everybody, and it was awesome. A big 2-legged mech robot that was walking around. That was pretty cool. The thing that got me though, is if I was looking very specifically at all of the different Space Marines, and one thing I noticed was some older marks of helmets. I am a connoisseur of Space Marines, and seeing some old Mark 7 helmets was pretty cool. And then afterwards, they showed off a very tiny tease of some of the Space Marines that are gonna be in the box. And we got to see one new Intercessor, and this bummed me out. It's fine, everything's fine, but quoting Warhammer itself, first up is a member of the new Intercessor squad, combining the contemporary look of Space Marines with some classic details. A mix of older armor marks with the new ones is indicative of what you can expect from the rest of the unit. The attrition of unrelenting war has led to Tacticus armor needing to be supplemented with older parts. Different helmets, shoulder pads, and greaves are commonplace, and this new kit has all sorts of nostalgic callbacks to previous Space Marine designs. And then they showed it off, and it is 99.9% an Intercessor Space Marine. Which is fine, I like Intercessor Space Marines. But if you're gonna call out that this is harkening back to older marks of armor, older designs, the classic Space Marines that you make in Horus Heresy right now, you can't just say those words and deliver nothing. The only thing with this Marine, the backpack is Tacticus, the legs are Tacticus, the body is Tacticus, the arms are Tacticus, the shoulders are Tacticus, every single thing is modern Intercessor Space Marine. The only thing is the gorget, the little thing around his neck, is at an ever so slightly different angle that I guess you could argue is pointing towards like Mark 8 errant armor. The helmet is a very cool Mark 7 Space Marine helmet, and the knee pads are not quite Mark 6, but they don't have a knee pad. They have the Primaris little knee protrusion, but they don't physically have a round knee pad like Tacticus, so I guess you could say that that is a little bit like Mark 6. Other than that, every single aspect is exactly Mark 10 Tacticus. You don't have to always put the Imperialis on the chest. There's other stuff that can go there. The bolter is Mark 10, everything is Mark 10. Except for the head swap, you would never notice that this is not a Tacticus Space Marine. And like, Games Workshop knows what they're doing. Like, they know what those words mean. I don't believe that they just showed off the very least old school Space Marine that's coming in the box. They probably showed off the most old school Space Marine in the box. So I don't get it. And also, they just came out with those new Chaos guys, the Void Scarred, and they're fantastic for combining older marks of armor and having like all of those different designs flowing throughout the armor. Those guys are perfect, and I've already seen people get those and de-chaosify them to turn them into what I was expecting like this style of Marine to be. But in the end, it's a Primaris Space Marine with a head swap, and that's just gonna be what it is. That was definitely a bummer in the show, although I'm still very excited for Adepticon. If you're watching this on Friday, I and the rest of the gang are at Adepticon. We're super looking forward to it. It's gonna be really, really spicy. We're gonna be leaving right after we film this video. And Adepticon is always so much fun. There's a bunch of model kits that I am specifically looking for, and then I'm hoping to be surprised by some weird other stuff. Some stuff that's more surprising than regular Tacticus Space Marines. But there were plenty of other things that were more exciting than Tacticus Space Marines. Was Daka Gutsmek, the biker orc war boss guy. This model is so crazy and weird and like anime inspired, with a jet engine shooting out the back. This model is fantastic. I think I might when I get this guy, I think I might break him off of his base and put him a little bit more on the ground. He's just so weird. Like he's kind of small and his base is really, really big, and almost the majority of what's over the base is the special effect of the jet engine shooting out the back. I don't know, it is a little wonky, this design, but it does look really, really good. Love the Gatling cannon, love the chopper stylings of his bike. I like that his power claw is on like a whip so that he can shoot it out and grab people. The banner is really cool. Also, if you look at that banner closely, there is a Mark 6 beaky helmet on the banner pole, unlike the helmet that we got on the classically designed Space Marine. But the orcs got a really, really cool model in that guy. And then for the rest of the show, it was the Sean show. Sean got everything he wanted. They showed off so much Imperial Guard, starting with a Imperial Guard character vehicle unit, Commissar Graves, in potentially the coolest looking like Imperium tank vehicle they've ever done. This thing has got Judge Dredd written all over it. It looks so cool with the eagle stuff on the front of it and over above the hood, the big flag sticking out the back, couple of autocannon turrets sticking out the back, the actual Commissar herself sticking out the top with her sword. You can have this really, really cool pose of her like giving orders and directing where to go with the sword, or you can have her standing if you'd prefer that pose. I think it's equally interesting as the really dynamic, awesome leading the charge pose. But an actual character vehicle, which does exist, but usually it's a little bit more specific, like it's a mech, like Morven Val is a vehicle character unit. There's also monster character units, but this is one of the like stronger, I guess there's Lehman Russ tank commanders and Rogel Dorn tank commanders. So those are also character vehicle units, but this one like feels very much like this is just a character in a tank. And which one is the hero? Is it the tank or is it the character? Because for me, I kind of feel like it's the tank. We also got Inquisitor Kyrol, a very, very weird model. It is an Inquisitor riding a thing, and I do really like the thing. The gun is also really interesting. It looks like a needle rifle, which you can see some of those in Necromunda. It's a very like old school 40k weapon. The beast itself looks like something out of Avatar with all of those legs, and it has multiple head options for the thing. So you can have like the horse monster with a bag over its head, or just its really gnarly teeth hanging out. It's a really interesting model. And speaking of really weird, interesting models, we got Intransia Freya, the Dogmata Superior for the Adeptus Sororitas. This model, I feel like this model I've seen in like my Facebook groups. People are a little mixed on it. I personally love it. I think it's so weird. It's harkening back to like Inquisitor Karamazov. I really like how dumb and silly and weird it is. It's got heavy, like dual combi heavy bolter / heavy flamethrowers hanging off the side. It got chicken legs. It's got a lady sitting in a chair, just completely exposed to the war that's happening. I think this model is awesome. I think it's really cool that she's a Dogmata Superior because I like the Dogmata model a lot in theory. The way that their clothing works, like I feel like that would be such a cool cosplay to make because that costume would have such good movement. I think the actual miniature itself is a little static and boring, but the idea of it is really good. And I just like chaplains a lot. And the Dogmatas are essentially the Sisters of Battle chaplains. Moving on to more Guard, the Centaur RSV. This is just a classic military vehicle. It's a little guy, it's got some transport capacity, it has got one spot for a stubber, and so I wonder, how cheap is this vehicle gonna be? I feel like a stubber in-game is worth about 5 points, so is the vehicle gonna be like 30 points? 40 points? Like it's gotta be cheaper than a Chimera because it's not a Chimera, but how cheap can you go for a transport that can move some guys around the battlefield? I don't know, it's really interesting. I really like the look of it. It's like a Taurox, but with a lot of the bells and whistles ripped off and replaced with just classic like military design. I think it's a really, really cool looking vehicle. And going along with it, the Hippogriff AFV is a cute widow tank. It is the cutest little tank. It does not look like there's room in there for anything. It's got a kind of hilariously big main gun for how tiny it is. And I think what this thing is basically just a heavy weapon team or like one of the indirect fire guns built onto a moving platform, which is kind of a cool idea. Imperial Guard already has so many like gun emplacements. Now they're gonna have the same thing, but for a vehicle version of that. The guard range is getting really, really full. And that was not the end of the new guard range. There is the Kill Team Spectre Squad. These guys are just Cadians with coats on, and it looks really good. They also have like carbine, tactical las guns, and a bunch of other really interesting little accessories. I like the cap hats that some of them are wearing instead of the classic military helmets. These guys look really good, and those cloaks are gonna be such an like awesome spot to try out some camouflage or some different colors to really like make this squad interesting and unique. These guys would look really, really good hopping out of a Centaur RSV. I really like these guys. They look awesome. And their nemesis, the bad guy that comes in the Kill Team box, is a blast from the past, an actual blast from the past, unlike the intercessors that were revealed for 11th edition, the Red Terror. This was an old, chunky metal model. It was about this big. It was a little noodle, and it existed for the Tyranid from like 3rd or 4th edition until 6th edition. And it was a neat little thing. I don't think it was ever super great, and it kind of vanished from the game, but it is back in a very big way. It is a now much, much bigger Danger Noodle. It is a monstrous looking creature, very similar to the Trigon and Moloch. I almost wonder, from the pictures that they showed off in the reveal show without audio, because this is, I think, when the audio was really just gone. It does look maybe a tiny bit smaller than a Trigon / Moloch, but I could see this being the new Trigon Moloch kit with maybe just a head option to make it the Red Terror. Kind of like old One Eye is just the Carnifex box, but you glue on a different head. I could see them doing something like that. And honestly, the Trigon Moloch kit could use a refresh. It's a little static and ancient and old, but the Red Terror does look fantastic. It's really interesting, big, monstrous bug. It does look like the old Mini, like that little tiny thing from back in the day. It could have evolved into this. I like how long and serpentine its body is. The giant, massive scything talons. It's really, really cool. And boy, oh boy, could the Spectre Squad kill team never in a million years defeat this thing. It's a gigantic monster. Oh, you're gonna shoot it with a plasma gun? You're gonna give it 2 shots of the plasma gun and it's gonna go down? Like, there's no way. The Red Terror is really, really cool. All of the Imperial Guard stuff is really neat. I like it a lot. I do like the idea of the more normal Guardy stuff. Every time I go up against Guard, it's just Rogel, Dorns, and Kazarkin, and they're really, really good and arguably a little bit undercosted. Probably not the Dorn. It's a really good tank, but it's also like 300 points. I think it's more than 300 points. It's very expensive for what it does. It shoots a bajillion times. It overwatches you because it has so many guns. You're gonna roll some 6s and wipe out some of my Black Templar Space Marines on the charge. But I do like the idea of doing more with less and bringing some of the cheaper stuff and the regular squads of guys and just kind of making it work. Like that's the part of the Imperial Guard I really like, not the big, giant, monstrous tanks that just hit really, really good. A lot of really fun, spicy stuff showing off for Warhammer 40,000. I would say, for model of the reveal show, because they showed off a lot, and they showed off also a lot of Age of Sigmar stuff. And the Age of Sigmar stuff, it was a lot of Cities of Sigmar, and I'm not a huge fan of Cities of Sigmar. I just don't really get the design philosophy, what they're trying to do. They showed off essentially a kill team for the Age of Sigmar, and one of the guys just has a flamethrower. It's a modern flamethrower, and I'm like, that's 40K. That's not Age of Sigmar. Like, are they peasants who have taken up arms against like the orcs, or are these like a perfect militia drilled and ready for battle? I just don't really dig them. But then they showed off the Cog Fortress. And it's a giant tower that's walking on legs. It has a bunch, it's bristling with guns. And I kind of love it. It's really good. It's gorgeous. It's weird. It's a giant walking castle. And I feel like this all of a sudden, I had an awakening. The Force awakened. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I get it. They're not fantasy. They're just sci-fi in a fantasy setting. And all of a sudden, I like them so much more. I still don't really like the ogres. They just don't really feel like they fit in for me, but like the cannons and the guys hiding behind shields and all of these weird black powder weapons that they have, I feel like it would all look really good surrounding a couple of these cog fortresses. And if that is what the Cities of Sigmar are, I feel like I'm kind of down. They're really, really neat. There's like 2 different designs for this thing. You can have oops all cannons, or you can have one that's a transport that has a big drawbridge door and a flamethrower on top. And I feel like both of them are really cool. This thing, I kind of want to paint it. It's a terrain piece. It is an actual unit in the game. The brick texture would look, it'd be so much fun to paint with some sponging and some stippling and putting like an enamel wash in all of the little cracks of the stone. Like this thing, they should have opened with this. This was really, really cool. All of a sudden, I feel like I get Cities of Sigmar, don't really care about the magicians and the mages and all of the weird stuff that have come out for the faction. Like this and a Fusilier squads, I am down for it. This is really, really cool. But I can't say that it is model of the reveal show. What is the coolest thing that was shown off all evening? I gotta give it to the new kill team box, the Spectre squad, and specifically one model out of that unit, the Pog Beacon. This thing, it's so cute and it's so small and it's a little radar dish. And when we were all sitting there, this is when the audio completely like left. I think it was also them coming back from having an actual technical error that caused the stream to go down and then restart. And it came back on a member of the Spectre squad. And we just sat there in silence while this guy spun back and forth a little bit for a while. And then hard cut to the Pog beacon and this little tiny thing in the middle of the screen. And we all burst out laughing so hard. We just had no idea what was going on. And then to show off this little tiny token. Oh, I loved it so much. It's also a great token. I like the little skull. I like the camouflage painting on the inside of the dish. I'm gonna buy the Spectres. I don't know if I need the whole box. Maybe I'll just like try to snag it on eBay. Although I feel like the Pog dish is gonna go for big money on eBay. I could totally see a lot of people wanting it. But I really like it. I think it's really cool. I think it's a wonderful Warhammer moment of just trying to figure out what is happening with the live stream reveal show. I think it's a wonderful little model. It's a wonderful little memory that I'll keep forever, is the good old fashioned Pog beacon. The reveal show was a rousing success, and now I get to go to Adepticon. Leave a comment below on what your favorite thing from the reveal show was. Are you as fussy as I am about old school Space Marines? It would have been fine if they just said, hey, look, new cool Primaris Intercessors. And I've been like, that's a really cool Primaris Intercessor. But to say you're gonna do the old school stuff and then do none of the old school stuff, like sanding down the knee pad does not make it a Mark 6. I don't know. I'm a tiny bit grumpy, but maybe as they show off some other cool stuff from that box, it'll be fine. Everything's fine. I'm gonna go buy some Warhammer stuff. Thanks for watching.